Radio presents The Truth Denied, Talk Radio, with your host, Roxy Lopez, where truth never lies. If you would like to speak with Roxy on the air, the call-in number is 347-327-9997. Here she is, your host, Roxy Lopez.
It is Friday, the 21st, and my guest today is Anthony J Hilder.
And the truth shall not be denied.
And the truth shall not be denied. Anthony, welcome to the show.
I'm loving being on with the Foxy Miss Roxy, who is doing more than almost any woman in America to tell the truth and kill the lies. The one thing I'm so upset about today is that the establishment killed or arranged to be killed Gaddafi, because if he went to trial, he spilled the beans, the whole row of dominoes would go down into the pits of hell.
Explain.
Well, he knew where the bodies were buried, and all of the arrangements for the oil, and they were kissing his behind and counting on him to be their man in the Mideast. But in this Arab Spring, they've arranged to kill off all opposition to a New World Order. And Gaddafi, certainly, if he had been allowed to go to trial in some sort of international court, he would have brought all of these people together. So they had to kill him. It was necessary. The Zion Nazis, killed him. And that's what had to be done, and I expected it to happen. I just didn't expect it to take so long.
Really? Now, just out of curiosity, while we're on the topic, gee, Anthony, you don't fool around. You just jump right in, huh? While we're on the topic, who's next?
Well, every single Arab nation, every single oil nation, every single opposition anywhere on the planet Earth that would oppose the evilarchy. And we've got a new film called Illuminati, and that's really what it is. It's the Illuminati operating as Hitler did. It's like in Israel, it's the Zion Nazis, and we've got this god-awful thing called NATO. NATO's the new Nazism. And they simply take on a country. Gaddafi didn't wage war against America. There's no trial.
And that seems
no
coming
evidence.
up over and over again that that he wasn't tried, that he was just murdered.
He was just executed.
Mm-hmm.
And drones. I mean, the flyovers were done by Americans with American dollars. And Obama was promising to bring peace. Hell, Obama is the bankster's boy. He's not just down on his knees shining their shoes. He's their boy. And we have the Republican lineup. They're all the neocons, neo-Nazis, all of them, with the exception of Michelle Bachmann and Ron Paul. They're all giving allegiance to the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and this global cartel. There is no question about it. None whatsoever. It has to be stopped because these are what they call rhinos, Republicans in name only.
Right.
Cain, Herman Cain, is from the thing called the privately owned Federal Reserve, and he's supposed to come up with a new agenda. 999. You just turn the 999 upside down, and you'll have the figure of what it is. It's 666.
Right.
999 is 666.
That's an interesting proposal. I don't know why it's not raising any eyebrows yet in the mainstream, but that's an interesting tax proposal called 999. What's going on with that?
Well, it's if you go to our new film, Illuminati 911, or just Illuminati, and take a look at it, we're talking about Bilderberg West. We're talking about this whole criminal cartel. When I talk about a criminal cashless cartel, I mean just that, a criminal cashless cartel. It owns the Federal Reserve. It's a privately owned banking system. It creates debt. It issues debt into circulation, not money. For every piece of paper that they print something on, they issue it into circulation. We borrow it from them. That's where the interest, all of this interest is, my God, we owe $13 trillion in interest. Well, they say we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the Fed. No, we don't owe it to ourselves. We owe it to them. They simply printed it and issued it.
A lot of Americans don't realize that the Federal Reserve has nothing to do with the government. The Federal Reserve is a privately owned corporation that runs on its own, and just what you said, lending money at high interest rates to the government, and of course it comes out of your and my pocket. Who are some of the people that own the Federal Reserve? Well,
let's start with David Rockefeller. We're going to talk about the Class A stockholders have never been revealed to the United States publicly. Eustace Mullins, in his book about the Fed, writes about it. And, of course, a fellow named Ed Griffin. Ed Griffin writes about it in his book, The Creature of Jekyll Island.
That's a great book.
A phenomenal book. And a phenomenal character. He's on our film, and you are on the same film, and it's a fabulous film. It's called, what is it called now? Let's talk about it. Air Auschwitz. You say, well, what has Air Auschwitz got to do with the United States of America? Well, they're dumping more poisons on us here than there was ever dropped on anybody at Auschwitz. Hell, you could survive Auschwitz. You won't be able to survive what they're dropping on the country. They have done what Hitler only promised to do. They've out-Hitlered Hitler. The Illuminati, the title of our current film, discusses where they come from and what they do. These individuals are, coming out of the woodwork. They've been around for a long, long period of time. They've been at the Bohemian Grove conducting sacrifices of children before the Owl of Moloch. You say, oh, God, no, they wouldn't do that. We had a group from Russia TV. Russia TV, they were out there, and they said, well, they're only doing, this is only a ritual thing.
At Bohemian Grove?
Yes. They said it was only a ritual thing. No, it wasn't just a ritual thing.
Now, you've covered Bohemian Grove before Illuminati. I've seen a few of your films, and thank you for sending them to me. You've covered it before, so this is a newer version, obviously, with a lot more information.
Oh, this is a brand new version.
Yeah, Illuminati.
I don't think it contains a lot more information. It's just more direct and pinpointed. We have Ted Gunderson. Ted did a piece on this. Ted is no longer with us. He's gone to a better place, and he was former head of the FBI in Los Angeles and Dallas and Memphis. We have to address these issues. We have to tell it like it is, or tell everybody where it's coming from. Okay.
Well, absolutely. Now, Anthony, let's go back to some of your work and tie it into what's happening today, especially the movement with Occupy and everything that's going on in the global revolution. Really,
the one thing about this the Occupy Washington, Occupy Occupy America. The one beautiful thing about this is that we're taking the legitimate left and legitimate right from the Tea Party movement and from the people who are libertarians, some of the greenies. They're all coming together on the same issue, and that's what's necessary for us to win. Mm-hmm. It has to be that way.
And what would you say the issue is? I'm viewing the issue as ending the Fed. That seems to be primary.
Basically, yes. The issue is money, and of course, the end game is being conducted by those who control the Fed. Mm-hmm. Like you say, it's not owned by us; it's owned by them, mm-hmm. and they are the 1%. In fact, they're not even 1%. They're like 1/1000th of 1%. Mm-hmm. Just a handful of banksters. These are the Count Draculas, these blood-sucking banking bastards who are taking everything that we've got and giving us debt. We don't have money. We have debt issued into circulation at point of origin. Mm-hmm. If they don't get that, if people don't get that, then we're lost. We've got another film called Frankenfed, which we did out there at the Federal at the Bohemian Grove, mm-hmm. and we did it on Alcatraz, and we did it around the country. Some of it was done in London. In the London operation, the city within the city in London is the eye of the octopus. I guess if we could knock out the Rothschilds who own the Bank of England, or who owned the Bank of England, I mean, they own the system, they control the system, then we would be well on our way to recovery. And I've been out there on the estate of the Rothschilds. They have a glass pyramid. And you think, well, what in the world, way out in the boonies, in the English countryside, in a little forest, is that glass pyramid doing out there near the Rothschild Estate? And, of course, the people wonder sometimes, but they rarely ever look, and they wonder what the hell that glass pyramid is doing out there.
How big is it?
I would say it's about 65 feet. I looked out as I was going out to Lord Rothschild's place. I said, well, what the hell? Let's just go out there and knock on the door and see if he's available. We can talk. We'll have some tea. The guy said, well, you've got to be crazy. I said, no, we're going to go. So they're not used to Americans in Britain. They're not used to a direct attack, an assault, or somebody actually talking about what all those things that exist. Mm. So as we were going out, the fella points at this thing, and I had heard something about it. And I said, my God, this looks like it was designed by the same person who did the Louvre, the 666 glass pane pyramid at the Louvre Museum in Paris. That's where they have the original order and sect of the Illuminati in their museum.
Did you get any photos of that pyramid?
Yes. I mean, I got out of there. It's on film. I've got it on film. I'm going to put it up on our site.
Right on.
Let me give you a couple of our sites.
I saw Frankenfed, and that wasn't in that movie.
No, it's not. And that I said on our site, not on our We can't include that in the Frankenfed movie unless we re-edit it. But I'm taking a clip which would go on commoncrime.net, commoncrime.net. You can go to Air not just the Air Auschwitz movie will be up on another site in the United States. Well, there's going to be actually in two. There's freeworldalliance.com and another one in Britain, which is called Our England, UK.com. And then we have aircrap.org. And you've seen aircrap.org.
Yes, aircraft.org is you've been very helpful. When my site went down, you guys put a lot of my work on aircraft. You guys been awesome. Aircraft's awesome. Mainly focuses on the the chemtrails. You coined the phrase death dumps, didn't you?
Yes. That's it. When we're talking about death dumps, we're talking about the nanoparticulates which are dropped upon us by Evergreen. I think there's probably no place more blatant in America than the Phoenix Tucson area. It's bad, and they just simply come in. They flush their toxic toilets over you, and the people continue to go around. They don't even bother to look up. I don't know whether they're simply numbed down or dumbed down, or they're getting the effects of the smart meters, which are being installed in the houses across America, and the radiation from these things is 100 times that of a cell phone. That's like if you got a kid and you're accepting these smart meters being installed into your house, it's sort of like taking a hand grenade, wrapping it around on the head of the child, and then wrapping that with duct tape and sending that out to play. This is crazy.
You just said something. If you're accepting the smart meters, nobody's told me yet of a way to get around that. I had a woman out in Texas, Anthony, who literally stood in the front yard, called the police, did not want the smart meter, knew what it was, knew what was coming. The police would not help. The police told her to get out of the way in her own yard for them to install the smart meter. At the end of the day, they installed the smart meter. How do people stop them?
What this is, there's a grid system laid out, and it's through this Sustainable Living, Agenda 21. They plan on putting these things on as many houses in America as they possibly can. They have a rheostat on this thing. A rheostat's like you can turn a light up or down or off. And on the smart meter, well, you've got to be pretty damn dumb to get a smart meter installed in your house. And we've got a program coming up to abolish the smart meters, to stop the smart meters. Because what they can do with this throughout, if it's installed throughout this country, and in England as they're doing now, they can turn those things up. When they turn them up, they turn up the radiation from the point now, which is unacceptable, to a point where it can take the people out. It can like fry your brain, so to speak. The end goal of all of this, and people think, oh my God, you can't be serious, is to reduce the population of the planet by about 90%. On the Georgia Guidestones, and that's down there north of Atlanta, they're talking about reducing the population by 95%. They want to kill us. That's the program. They want to kill us. They want to take everything we've got, everything we ever had or ever hoped to have away. I discussed this with Jesse Ventura. I went out to Minneapolis and did his show. And he was asking questions, where are the bad guys going to go? He says, well, they're going to go underground. And they have made facilities so that they can go underground. So at the time that they turn this stuff up, it's like turning on the gas at Auschwitz. And they leave the people to die, they'll have a place to hide. And when it's all over and the killing is over, when it's done and nobody lives except them and a handful of people to bury the dead, they will own the world. Literally. I mean, they already own the world's currency. They want the world's oil. They want the world's everything. And we would be enslaved. It's like Hitler had a plan. They said, ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer, one world, one race, one ruler. They are planning on ruling the world. I know that the Roxys of the world are not going to allow this, and that Deborah Tavares is fighting the smart murder. We call them the murder meters. The murder meters. Most people don't even know it. They don't even know it exists. It's making them lethargic. It's making them feel queasy.
Well,
they don't know what's going on sometimes.
These are some of the reports that I'm getting, and this is some of the research that I'm doing on the smart meters. Is very interesting, and this also coincides with chemtrailing. This coincides with fluoride in the water. It all coincides. GMO in the food, etc. It's interesting because people are lethargic, like you said, during the day, but they can't sleep at night. This is a common side effect of all of this, but they can't sleep at night. So the next day they're more sleep deprived, and that sleep deprived keeps rolling in and rolling. And you know what sleep deprived does? When you're sleep deprived, you can be easily controlled.
Well, I'm here in Santa Monica, California.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They put this smart meter on about 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I'm in an apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
And there's about 45 other people. To get that off, and I've been going on a weekly basis to the city council, talking about their private-public partnership. The private-public partnership in Germany was called Nazism. It's called fascism. That's what it is. The banksters have got control over the electrical companies throughout the United States. And if you've got like Pacific Gas and Electric, you've got both gas and electric. If you crank these things up, they will create sparks. They will create a fire. And they also control the gas. Imagine gas with electric and an explosion. In San Bruno, they had an explosion. People didn't know what the hell that was all about. But if you've got the smart meters, you can turn these things up. You can create explosions, and they are happening. I've talked to individuals who are very closely connected to Southern California, Edison, and PG&E, and other electric monopolies. These monopolies are controlled by the money monarchy. This is going to be their method to reduce the population of the planet.
Well, and this is what I don't understand, Anthony. And have you found anything in your, going to the city council meetings every Tuesday or first of the month, I guess? Have they had any response to you as far as the legalities of people who do own their own properties, that they have the right to access to install the smart meter?
They give you 3 minutes. There was two ladies that went
3
up
to 5 minutes. Mm-hmm.
that I didn't know were there on the first time I got over, and I blasted the hell out of these bastards, and then. One lady got up and said, look, she's been going in to her home, getting these headaches, and it's been ferocious. She couldn't handle it anymore, so she literally moved out and has been sleeping in her car. Then another one comes up and says that she has a child, and she got up there in front of the city council and was crying. These guys are oblivious. It's like they're completely numbed down and dumbed down. They're mostly attorneys. And the attorneys simply accept the establishment's
But how do we get the smart? I guess what I understand the chain of command. How do we get rid of a smart meter or refuse a smart meter? How do we do that?
Well, we have to have an electrician come in, pull the smart meter, and put in an analog meter. This is the ones that they took out.
Right.
Dr. Deagle, I haven't got it up on the site yet, but I will have it up by the end of tomorrow on aircraft. Dr. Deagle has pulled the smart meter. He has also bought one of the testers, another meter which registers the radiation that's being emanated coming from the
Smart meter.
from the smart meter, and it would make a noise, a clicking sound, like it would go higher as it would go closer to the radiation, like a Geiger counter.
Sure.
And he's been doing this, and he went down, tested it, found out, my God, this is electromagnetic poisoning, radiation. It's killing the people around. It's a slow kill. On the we've gone to.
Anthony, let me understand something. So did Dr. Deagle remove the smart meter and then replace it with an analog meter? Is that what he did?
That's correct.
And can others do this successfully? Does he show anybody how to do this?
Yes, we've got the piece, and it's going up on the site. It's not up quite yet. It'll be up, like I say, within 48 hours.
Okay, because I would want to point people in that direction. Now, I guess I have another question for you. If one successfully accomplishes this, removes their smart meter, replaces it with an analog meter, are they not going? Is the electric company still going to be able to read the electric?
Oh, sure, they're reading it right now.
Okay.
They're reading it with an analog meter right now.
But obviously they're doing what they did with cable, right, Anthony? They're going from analog to digital. Meters.
Yes, they have a phone line.
And once they extinguish analog, the analog.
When you get into like an apartment house like this, the smart meters, the individual ones, are connected to what they call the Medusa. Now, the Medusa is the big mama, and they've got all sorts of wires coming off the top. Then they've got a phone line connected to that, so they can tell where you are. The smart meters are also death meters, and they're also what we call spy meters.
Right.
They can tell where you are in your house by the equipment that you use.
Right. Exactly. Well, they know it definitely taps into everything that you do, what room you're in, what you just said, every electronic that you use. And this much I do know. I have read a considerable amount. All I'm saying at this point is Dr. Deagle, does he show us how to remove a smart meter and put in an analog meter?
I haven't seen the clip, but the clip is going on. I hope that he does. He talks about it. Of course, Dr. Deagle talks a lot in doctorese, and that's a little bit of a problem. Sometimes doctors talk in doctorese, lawyers talk in lawyerese, and the President of the United States talks in double talk. Double talk, double think, double cross. So
now,
it's double E's.
Well, in other words, Anthony, when you're going to city council meetings, what's your motive? What are you trying to accomplish when you go to the city council meeting? Are you trying to get them to remove the smart meters? I'm
trying to get them to use smart meters.
You're what?
Well, why am I doing that? I want to make it mandatory that all of the members of the city council, their mothers, their fathers, their sisters, their brothers, their lovers, their children, are forced to have smart meters on each and every one of their homes. I don't want them to live. I want them to die.
Anthony.
I want them to be sick. They are putting this on us, and the only way that this is going to stop, I don't want them to, I want them to have a short life, not a long life. If they have this on their homes and their children have it, they're not going to live very long. So I don't want them healthy. I want them sick. They're trying to kill off not just this state and your state. They want to kill off all states. They want to bring about a new world order.
So, Anthony, are you telling me that people who are in the government don't have to have smart meters on their homes?
Well, I don't know whether they do or don't. I know that some of the people that work with PG&E are not using them. They won't allow them on their homes. They're talking to me. They're talking to me. They say, I wouldn't allow anything like this. And I won't get into specifics on the individuals that I've talked to because it would put their jobs in jeopardy. But they're saying that they wouldn't allow it. And I don't know. I'm sure that the fat cats, the guys who were the criminals don't put it on their homes. They're gonna take a pass. They're gonna bypass this. So I'm not seeing them as saying, oh, listen, we're going to put it on your homes, but we're going to put it on our homes just to see. I want them to put a hold on it for all of us, and then I want them to have it for 3 years. And after the 3-year period of time, if any of them are living, or if any of them can think, or walk, or talk, then we'll test them and see what happens to them. And if it works out for them, hey, maybe we can consider it. But
what you're saying is, instead of using the public as the guinea pig,
I want them the guinea people.
You want them to be the guinea pig.
The guinea people.
Well, yeah, yeah.
They're going to be the guinea pigs, right?
Yes.
I want them to put this on their homes.
All right.
I want them to put this on their homes. I want them to try this, and if it works for them, then we'll say, okay, we'll take a look at it. Right.
Okay, I understand that. I mean, I see where you're coming from. That's your course of solution, rather than. I actually understand. At first, when you just said, you want them to die, I was like, Anthony. But I understand what you're saying. It's like, instead of using the general population as the guinea pig, turn it around on those who are installing, those who are creating them, and those who are in government passing wild laws, and not even including we the people in these discussions. Have them be the guinea pigs first, and I think that's fair. I also think that as far as course of solution goes, I would like some more substantial evidence myself on even the removal of a smart meter and replacing it with an analog meter. I do wonder if any electrician will actually do that. I mean, if they're even allowed to do that.
Absolutely.
If you can hire them.
Tavares has got a string of apartments. She's getting set to have them come out and taken off of her place. And, of course, we're going to bring out the cameras, and we're going to bring out notify the news media.
Yeah, no doubt. And then the other question in regards to the law with smart meters, Anthony, is there a law that there's not a mandate that makes it a law. Okay.
They're just simply they're giving an edict. And they're saying to the local governments that the people have to have it, or they're going to put it on.
Okay.
But there's no law that says it's mandatory. So as a consequence, people are going to fight it. At least Barbara Tavares, and she's like the Joan of Arc for this stuff. She's gone out and stood in the driveway when they were trying to pull up and do an installation. And they told her to get out, and she says, I'm not getting out. She's a 61-year-old grandma, and she's saying, I'm not going to get out, so you're going to have to arrest me. And they did, and then it went public around the country. It went public, and as a consequence, this is very good. That gave us some publicity. She's not unwilling to be arrested if necessary. For the cause. She has grandchildren. She's going to protect them.
Right.
In Nazi Germany, they did this with people. They said, well, we've got an edict from the government, from Adolf Hitler. He's the law. People have to take the law into their own hands. The law is the Constitution. They have to take the Constitution into their own hands and utilize their Constitution to protect their lives, their property, their homes, their freedoms. It's necessary, it's essential. And I would like Barbara Tavares, who's head of the RefuseSmartMeters.com, RefuseSmartMeters.com, to be a guest on your show.
I would love to have her on my show. As a matter of fact, we had Barbara Whitman, and she mentioned refuse smart meters. She mentioned
that would be Deborah Whitman.
Deborah, sorry.
Yes.
You're
and,
good. Yes.
Deborah's a feisty gal.
I love her. So yeah, I'll after the show I'll get a number or maybe I'll just contact. You're saying Barbara Tavares?
No, it's Deborah Tavares.
Deborah Tavares. Okay.
It's also Deborah Whitman.
It is Deborah Whitman, and I don't know why I call both of these ladies Barbara. Don't ask me.
Listen, don't ask me why I call them Barbara either. I mean, at least I call Barbara Tavares. I call Deborah Tavares Barbara on occasion.
All right. Now, on the subject matter of the goings on, you said something as well. Have you done investigating on fracking?
In the military?
No, fracking, natural gas fracking.
No. No,
okay.
I haven't done any investigation in that.
You might want to take a look at that as well, because that's a whole interesting, when they're digging way down half mile, to get natural gas, they're digging down further, and the gas is actually going into the water tables, the wells and things like that, and this is becoming a real issue now as well. So it's called fracking. And
I've heard about it, but
I want to take a look at that as well with the natural gas combination. And, they're pushing natural gas again for, homes. And so this is a whole,
I was wondering, and I was talking on this subject with Jesse. I said, well, look, if you've got 7 billion people on the planet, how are you going to get rid of 6.5 billion?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to do that? And, if they've got a grid system under sustainable living, and it's a law that they have these units which can create a fire in all of these homes, and they're supplying the gas, if they turn on the gas and light the fire, they could literally ignite America or unite England. I think they should have a new coin called the Nero. Rather than the euro, the Nero. It's like they're going to issue it while not just Rome burns, but by the world burns. They're going to be playing the fiddle. And these people actually have meetings. The 100th anniversary of the Bohemian Grove ceremony of care. It's called the creation or cremation of care. They cremate care, concern, morality. And they do this at the Bohemian Grove. They've got 2,700 acres up there in Monte Rio, which is north of San Francisco along the Russian River. They've got this 45-foot owl. And I'm going to tell you about the Rothschild pyramid in a minute. But up there at the owl, they shovel children into the fire, and then in this cage, as we've been told. And if you go to the film, the D.W. Griffith film, Intolerance, and they've got. In the film, you'll see the Owl of Moloch. It's been around for years, for centuries. And in the film, they shove the children as a sacrifice to the Owl of Moloch. So the same thing continues, but in reality. And they bring in people as potential presidential candidates. They go to the Grove. They're chosen to be or not to be president of the United States. Eisenhower was there. Nixon was there. I've got a picture of Nixon, Reagan. You've got Ford. Gingrich has been up there. We have a satanic ritual going on every year from July 14th and 15th, 16th. It's about 2 weeks where it goes on. They have people from all across the world. And yes, they conduct Luciferian satanic rituals. And you think, oh, God, no, it can't possibly be. Russia TV says, well, they're not really killing people. It's just a ritual. They're just pretending to kill the children. What kind of individual will sit down at a meeting at the cremation of care, listen to all of the Luciferian gobblegunk, and accept the cremation or burning of these children alive? You hear the screams. They have, I don't know, the screams are piped in now, and the people don't really throw in the children. But I want to have, and I'm calling for, on our new film, a dig. I want them to exhume the bodies. I want cadaver dogs to go up on the 2,700 acres. Cadaver dogs to discover where the bodies are buried. You think, well, this couldn't be. I'm kidding. This is Halloween. Maybe it's one of Roxy Lopez's, Fright Night. It's Halloween. It's a gag, right? It can't really be true. No, it's true. And they have the Bilderberg group, and that's a smaller group in Europe, where they have a meeting once a year, and people, the wealthy, the billionaire banksters, come along. Perry was at the last one, and here they say, well, these people are, they're presidential material. They talked about Perry being presidential material, that he is really straight-laced and all of this stuff, and that Perry was the, I think he was called the public relations director. No, the campaign director for a fellow named Al Gore.
Wasn't he also a lobbyist for Merck, the pharmaceutical company Merck?
Yeah, I think so. Now, so he's working for these guys, and Kane, Herman Cain was working for the Federal Reserve. He was vice president of the Federal Reserve in Kansas City or wherever the hell it was. Then he talks about his new thing. Oh, it's so great, his 999 system.
I know. That's
just turn
so
that 999 upside down, you've got 666.
Well, it catches your ear anyway, whether it's 999 or 666. It does get. Hey, I've got a question about Bohemian Grove. Is there, in your studies, is there a difference between the satanic and the pagan black magic?
I really don't know where one begins and the other ends.
Okay.
But I do know that in the Franklin cover-up, and a state senator, had written this book, and Ted Gunderson was in with the senator. They talk about rituals. They talk about raping children, devoweling them, slashing their throats. I mean, not symbolic, but for real. And Ted, as you know, has been a friend of mine for 35 years, and about 6 weeks ago, Ted, he didn't die. He just moved on to another place. Unlike Shakespeare, I don't believe that the good that men do die and is often tired with their bones, but it lives after them. It's like our lives, as limited as they may be here on earth, live on for what we do to change things for the betterment of mankind. And there's a spirit that runs in certain people. The Roxy Lopez's of the world, and you're one of them, dear. You're one of these people that are doing something. You're reaching out beyond your fingertips. You're trying to reach tens of thousands, millions of people. You'll run for office, and you are the kind who becomes the Joan of Arc. the kind who stand up while all the other women lay down. They are trying to kill us. And certain women will stand up there. It's like I was proud of Michelle Bachmann, as dumb as she may be about certain things. She came out and was standing up for the women of America. She knows that the Federal Reserve is no good and has blasted it. But she doesn't know about the death dumps. Deborah Tavares went over and talked to her yesterday. Yes, about not even 24 hours ago, less than 24 hours ago, about 20 hours ago. She gave her some of the flyers and some of the posters that we put up to go and address those at the Occupy San Francisco, Occupy LA, Occupy San Francisco, Occupy London, Rome. This has gone around the world. There's maybe 1,700 or so cities that are picking this up and are going with it. And people on the legitimate left and the legitimate right, libertarians, people who are for Rand Paul, people who are for legitimate people on both sides of the political spectrum who are saying what needs to be said. The media is basically locked in. It's managed. It's manipulated. But there is some on the alternative media, like Roxy Lopez and your show, that's cutting through. You say, well, how can you, with a small show, bring it up? Well, I'm going to tell you, if you're one of the few that are listening to this show, you need to talk to your friend and say, hey, listen to this Roxy Lopez show. She's got it together, and you do. There's fire in you. You're alive. There's a lot of people who just lay down and they're numb, they're dumb. And that is, of course, the purpose of the smart meters. To dumb us down, to numb us down, to make us lethargic, to make us accepting of the unacceptable, toleration, to tolerate the intolerable, and to do the undoable. Or I shouldn't say undoable, to do those things which you would consider absolutely unconscionable. It's like part of the cremation of care, which gets me back to the Rothschilds over there in England. As I was going through this little burg, I was going with my cameraman out towards the Rothschild Estate. I stopped, and there's a couple fences which you had to go over or around to get to this field. It had sheep on it. And way at the other side of this large pasture, here's this pyramid. What in the hell is it doing in the middle of nowhere? And I was told by my cameraman that he would go by there during the time it was built. They'd built this huge Christian cross in the ground. They'd cut it in the ground. And then they laid in some sort of cement slabs on the side to shore up the sides. And then they built a Celtic cross, which went over the Christian cross. And then on top of that, they built the pyramid. And they put up one section of the pyramid, and about halfway up in the pyramid, they took it and put it at another angle. So it's like a pyramid going up at one angle, then it twists and goes up at another angle. And that goes up to the top, and then there's a spire that goes from that to up to about maybe 65 feet. And I asked my friend what he thought of the story that I had been told. And the story that I had been told was that when this thing got completed, the local townspeople, sort of like those in the movie Frankenstein, went out on the estate, went behind some trees, set up a camera and binoculars, and when it got dark, he had heard that an event was going to come up. They hid behind the trees and watched a long procession of people in black robes going towards the pyramid. Men and women. He described them as rock stars, Rothschilds, and royalty. You say, well, why would that group of people who were achieving great success be out there? Maybe they'd surrendered their souls for whatever the hell they got. But that's the story that I was told, and we walked out on this thing, and I was expecting at any time a half track to be coming over the top of the hill, surrounding hill, and down towards us with machine guns blasted, preceded by half a dozen German shepherds or some sort of bad-looking dog with terrible attitudes. But we went out about three-quarters of the way, got up there, and he said, well, listen, there's a wire fence. It's an electric fence. He said, let's just go over the fence. We can go right over to the base of it. And I said, no, my friend, I've got next morning in Bristol. Would you hold 1 second? I've got to clear this.
Sure. For those of you who are listening to the show, we're speaking with producer Anthony J. Hilder.
Believe it or not, that was Deborah Tavares.
Oh, was it really?
Talk about coincidence.
Nice.
So that was my experience with this thing, and I thought, my God, this thing looks so much like this satanic pyramid at the Louvre Museum. I wonder who built it. Mm-hmm. And I checked it out. The same architect who built the 666 glass pane pyramid at the Louvre built the Rothschild Illuminati pyramid on his estate. And you think, well, how dumb can people be? I mean, surely somebody could pick up on this. But apparently, the awareness level of the British public and the American public is so low that they don't get it. So I'm going to have to go and get the film, put it out across the world, because we are reaching people. They took a little piece by Dr. Rowan and twittered it last night on one little piece from Frankenfed, and it was about the Monsanto, about the Frankenfoods. Mm-hmm. And that had hit 32,000 on one grouping and 3,000, 300 and something. Anyhow, between the both of them, it was like just the two there. And that's a little piece of Frankenfed. It had hit 35,000 people.
Right.
What we have here is an opportunity to change the world. We need to incite a revelation to avoid a revolution. We need to do that which has never been done. Now, I don't know what it takes, Roxy, for your show to get up and get out, but I think if we were to do your show on film and then put that film out so people around the world could see it, and they could see that, you're not some, hag from that hangs around city council for 45 years saying nothing and doing nothing, and it just gets it on by standing up and making her 2-minute speech. When they see that you're a real person and you're on fire, and we have this to show, so people can see what you're talking about, and so you can bring up bits and pieces of information, you can display them on film, then we can change this show and electrify it. If anyone is listening out there and would like to call in and talk to us and is sort of wondering, is it possible, why don't you give them the number?
Oh, absolutely. It's we had the number out today. It's 347-327-9997. We have a pretty shy audience, but I do encourage everybody to call in. This is an opportunity to speak with Anthony J. Hilder. You know what you were saying about television. Now, aren't you going to be doing a television show, Anthony?
Well, I'm supposed to be doing a television show. I've had 2 offers, and I was going to take this one out of Nashville. Then I got the fellow who's in Nashville's had death threats, and he's a former wrestler, like Jesse Ventura.
Right.
And I thought that was going to come through, and it was called, well, forget what it was called. It was supposed to come forth at the beginning of the month. But they didn't put it together, or the fellow had problems about the death threats, and his backed off of that for now, and I'm going to take the other option, and I informed them of that yesterday. And this other show, it'll be a television show where I can have as many as 20 different people on the air at the same time. So it's like a two-way talk show. It's like a two-way talk show. And I can be talking to one person and hit a button and it goes to another line and another line and another line.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, I can't gang them, but I will be able to talk to say somebody in Hampton, in England,
right,
or Blackpool, or Cork in Ireland, or Oslo, and I can go anywhere around the world with this. And I can take the unit anywhere in the world. So it's like a roaming television studio.
Nice.
Television studio that has wings. And we can put up a green screen and we can bring anybody anywhere. So the technology is here for us to do this. And, of course, it's much better in doing these shows if a man is doing it for as many days and nights as I plan on doing it. I plan on doing it 5 days a week, about 2 hours a day. It's good to have some pulchritude. Good to have a little bit of beauty. It can't be just us older guys, doing this thing. So you're invited to be on the show, and we'll talk about many things. One of which is the current election, or I should say selection. It's really a selection. The one who's generally picked always by the National Republican Party, which is controlled by the Rockefellers, and that Cassius cabal at the Council on Foreign Relations at the 5080 68th Street in New York City is made up of those who would be chosen by Zbigniew Brzezinski and David Rockefeller and Henry Kissinger. Those individuals from the Council on Foreign Relations have their own little clique. Newt Gingrich is one of the boys. He pretends to be a conservative. The only thing he's conservative about, he's conserving the establishment, the Illuminati elite. You got a picture of him out of the Grove. So our picture, Illuminati, Bohemian Grove, Bilderberg West, New World Order, is out tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'm going to give the people a phone number, and you can call and make a donation to that and that site, which is Free World Alliance, and we will send you a copy of Frankenfed. We'll send you a copy of Air Auschwitz. We'll send you a copy of Beast of the Bible Belt with Ted Gunderson. You're going to have to come up with a few bucks to help us out because we can't do it for free. But yet it's a donation. So I have to say, well, it is a donation. You can donate what you will, just as long as you can, you can cover our costs. And I'm going to give you the phone number.
The phone number. That's fair enough. So when they call in, they're going to get a copy of the new release, which is Illuminati, which is Bohemian and Grove, Bilderberg, West, NWO, and then Frankenfed and Air Auschwitz. Yeah, is that correct?
Yes. If you can lay $100 on us, or if you want to just if you wanted to get something, you say I'm a poor man or I'm a poor woman. Well, you could probably send out $25 and we'll get you one of the four of those choices. Here is 928-237-5351. 928-237-5351. A fellow named Ron will pick up the phone, and he's with Free World Alliance or Free World Filmworks.
Okay.
And he'll get it out to you. And, of course, we'll have it up on our other sites. And we need to coordinate with those of you who have a site, and we'll extend our voice to other areas of the world. I'm planning on going over to the UK for a speaking tour of about 14 or 15 sites there, and then go up to Scotland, out to Wales, down to Cornwall, which is in the southwest of England. We'll go down to Bristol, Bournemouth. Today they're going over. The fellows are going over to Stoke-on-Trent, and we'll have a meeting tomorrow in Stoke-on-Trent, maybe 200 or 300 in that vicinity, with some of the key personalities in the UK who address these issues, like Brian Garish and a fellow named Roger, who's doing extraordinarily well with his attempt to put forth a new currency. We have to have an opposition to the United Nations. That's what the Free World Alliance is about. Can't be just against those guys. We've got to offer them something which allows them to recognize the tribal, linguistic, racial, and religious nation states which do in fact exist.
Anthony, we have somebody calling from, I believe, somewhere in Arizona. I don't know who the caller is. Do you want to speak with the caller? Why don't we bring the caller on the air? Hi, caller. Are you there?
Oh, yeah. I was just listening in or so.
Hi. Yeah, you're called in the show, and who are we speaking with? And you're on with Anthony J Hilder.
Oh, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. Where are you calling from, Charlie? Welcome to the show,
yeah.
Charlie.
Hi.
Where are you from?
Arizona.
You're from Arizona. Did you have a question for Anthony?
He's working on the chemtrails, right?
Yes. We're talking about the death.
Yeah, you heard of Karmacon, right? Karmacon.com? Karmacon?
Carnicon.
Yeah.
Clifford Carnicom.
Yeah, he has those gallons or so. He's done. He's actually a scientist. He's done special. He's done this scientific research on it with some French scientists, and the weird stuff is that they put it into a vase, and there's no air current or anything like that, and it moves inside the vase. So all that stuff that comes down.
It's sort of like watching a movie, Night of the Living Dead, or Day of the Living, whatever the hell. These people are, I mean, they're criminally insane. They're doing what Dr. Frankenstein did, but Dr. Frankenstein, unlike the old doc from Europe who tried to actually create a being that would be superior, these people are putting out things that will kill people.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's why we call our film on the Federal Reserve Franken-Fed. That's why we call the creations that are put out by Monsanto as Franken Foods.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's
crimes
it's
against humanity
now,
and crimes against nature.
Our film, Air Auschwitz, and I don't know if you got the number that I gave. I'll give it out once again.
No, I just got on myself, so they gave me your number real quick.
Oh, yeah. The number, caller, and for the listeners, is 928-237-5351. And Ron is going to probably answer that line. And basically what Anthony was saying was that this is Free World Alliance, and he's got quite a few DVDs out, and for a donation you can get Air Auschwitz, his latest, which is Illuminati, which is what we have been discussing quite a bit about for the last hour, and then of course Franken-Fed, which is about the Federal Reserve, who owns it and how it works and how it really doesn't work, and then of course there's Beasts of the Bible Belt, which is an absolute. Anthony has a number of DVDs. I have quite a few of them myself. Very well done. And caller, did you have anything else that you wanted to speak with Anthony about?
Well, I want to talk to him here about the death dumps. See, a lot of people call them, they call them chemtrails. And that really doesn't do it. It doesn't describe them, because what they are these nanoparticulates which are made up of sulfur hexafluorides, strontium, barium, aluminum oxide, sometimes sulfur, sometimes arsenic, and when they drop these things down and it catches the airstream, they're inhaled by people. Mm-hmm. The accumulation of these toxins, and it's like flushing a toxic toilet on us. Mm-hmm. The combination of these will kill you. It will numb you down, it will dumb you down, it will give you respiratory diseases, fibromyalgia, and of course Morgellons. And a lot of people are coming, they say, where did we get it? How could, did some animal distribute them? Did some tank disperse these toxins into the air? No, it's coming down from the sky, and it would be better. It would be far better if the commercial planes just came over and flushed the toilets on us. It would be cleaner. It would be better if they just did that than to flush the toxic toilets, which give us these diseases. These monsters are made, they actually, the Morgellons, it's moving inside your body. You think, well, nobody would be thinking of doing anything like this to the public at large. They're supposed to be those who are protecting the atmosphere, protecting society. They're supposed to be the greenies. Well, this is gangrenies. They're gangrenies, like gangrenies. So they are dispersing the toxins upon us. They're not cleaning the environment. They're supposed to be environmentalists. These are the environazis. About 1,500 German scientists and people who worked in developing all sorts of sick stuff from Germany was brought over here from Nazi Germany at the end of the war. because the United States government didn't want all of these people just to disappear or to die. All of the diseases and all of the toxins and all of the everything that they had built, they didn't want them to disappear. So they came to the United States, and they were developed. The atomic bomb was created, was thought of, and brought together up at the Bohemian Grove. On our new film, Illuminati, we have a picture of the grove. We have the Owl of Moloch, where the sacrifices go on, and it's surrounded by the explosion of the atomic bomb. The atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the two most heavily populated Christian cities in all of Japan. The war was over when they dropped it. And I say, oh, no, that can't be. I'm defying history. Yes, the history that you get in the textbooks. General Wiley Gainey, who is the assistant to General Curtis LeMay in Guam, and I had a conversation. This is maybe 30 years ago. We were talking about how the Japanese had offered conditional surrender. They offered surrender before the bomb was dropped. They mass murdered 250,000 people. They're not going to hesitate to kill your child. They're not going to hesitate to create a disease and drop it upon us. They didn't hesitate in creating AIDS and distributing it through the smallpox vaccines in Senegal, Uganda, Zaire, Haiti, and Brazil. This is man-made. It didn't just pop into existence. It didn't do that. I mean, we have something that is a combination of the bovine leukemia virus, which creates cancer in cattle, with the Visna virus, which creates brain rot in sheep, and a very voracious cancer, human cancer, with in the body of an elderly black woman who got this very swift cancer, and they put it all together, thinking that this would be a swift way of killing people. It turned out that it's a very slow way, but nonetheless, this was made at Fort Detrick, Maryland, with our money. I didn't say our money, but I mean the Federal Reserve notes. So
No, Anthony, I have a question, and this always seems to be the crossroad in which I am at constantly. If indeed, with the chemtrails, with the virus, the immunizations that they're wanting to make mandatory, with the let's say the fluoride, arsenic, and many other ingredients that are in the water, fracking, and then the war on our mind. I mean, let's not forget the war on our mind, not just the physical. Why would they want to, and I'm well aware of the Georgia Guidestones. And, of course, nobody knows the author of the Georgia. Nobody knows who put those Georgia Guidestones up there. Doesn't matter at this moment, but I would like to know that.
It would not surprise me to hear that Ted the Terrible Turner was involved in a project of that nature. He's the guy that put up $1 million to the to the United Nations. And the United Nations First Secretary General, in their organizational conference in 1945, was Alger Hiss, communist spy. So I take a look at the spy meters, as we call them the Hiss. Some of them are called the Alger Hiss. We name them after Alger Hiss, the ultimate spy.
Right, the smart meters.
They're put in our homes.
Right.
We pay for them.
Here's my question. Why on earth? I mean, what's coming up here? That they, being the less than 1%, why would they want to extinguish, 650 billion people? I mean, I thought they needed it.
6.5 billion people.
Sorry, 6.5 billion people. There's 7 billion people on the planet. 6.5. They want to leave 500,000.
Yes, another 6,000.
why? My question, Anthony, is why would you want to extinguish basically the entire world? Why would you want to extinguish?
Because they're Malthusians. These are Malthusians. They think of us as useless eaters. Those of you who are listening to the show, they think that you are breathing too much air, eating too much food, taking up too much space.
Okay.
It interferes with their planet. They want to own the world. Dictators, madmen throughout the centuries have thought of having a one-world government.
Right.
Adolf Hitler's sideman, Rudolf Hess, was not that much unlike Alger Hiss, who was the first Secretary General of the United Nations Organizational Conference. We're going to be picketing them on the 23rd, this coming Monday. We'll be up in San Francisco, and then we're going to go from the picketing of the UN facility, where the UN first was born, over in front of the people of San Francisco, who are in the Occupy San Francisco campaign, which is tied in with the World campaign, which is addressing the issue of the Federal Reserve, or what is amounting to the Federal Reserve in nation after nation. The NATO is the new Nazism. NATO was behind the bombing of Gaddafi and company. Gaddafi had the best educated people in all of North Africa, and maybe in all of Africa, and had a system that would offer health. It was a fairly decent country as compared to the rest of Africa. But he was doing one thing. He was operating independently from the Illuminati. They figured, well, he had to die. The Zion-Nazis certainly wanted to kill him. And, of course, they want to create another war. They're in the process of creating another war, staging another war against Iran. Iran wouldn't attack the United States. The United States wasn't attacked by these Arabs. I can go out and do an interview on film with 7 of them now. 7 of them, or 6 of them right now. They're alive. They're listed by the FBI as having been involved in the attack on the World Trade Center. There was no Iraqis. We're supposed to be getting out. We got the news we're going to get out of Iraq. We never should have been in Iraq in the first place. Saddam Hussein was not involved in the attack upon the World Trade Center. He didn't have weapons of mass destruction. They simply accused him, and falsely accused him, of having weapons of mass destruction. They've killed in excess of 1 million Iraqis. This is murder. It's genocide. There's no reason we should be there. The Afghans weren't involved. Hell, some of these guys they say were involved couldn't fly a plane. Hell, they couldn't even drive a car. This is murder conducted by agents of this government. The Central Intelligence Agency is conducting murder, acts of murder. They're involved with the aircraft, the air organization called Air America, which was then bought up by Evergreen. Evergreen is dropping this stuff on us. Evergreen has
another caller.
They don't have to go through the FAA.
We have another caller for you, Anthony, with a question. Caller is calling in.
By the way, thank you so much for calling, and I hope you get involved with this and let's support Roxy's show. It's wonderful.
Do we have a caller?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Roxy. I'm Steven, and I'm one of your friends on Facebook that I just met with, and I live out here in Lincoln, California.
Okay.
I'm right near Beale Air Force Base. I'm a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to other people in aviation. I've talked to people at Boeing. I've asked questions about what they know about aircraft that are set up for spraying. Engineers at Boeing that are friends of mine's brother have told me that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Agency has convinced the engineers that there's holes in our atmosphere. They have approximately 820 aircraft that are set up for spraying.
You said 820?
Yes.
Who's they? I'm sorry, Stephen. Who?
National Oceanic and Atmospheric Agency has gotten Boeing engineers to convert aircraft.
Okay, and where are they converting these aircraft?
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City.
Right.
And what facility?
Well, there's only one Boeing facility there.
So it's at Boeing in Salt Lake City, and they're converting these 820 craft via NOAA and to spray what?
Well, because there's holes in our atmosphere from nuclear test blasts. I also wanted to add that I live adjacent to two retirement villages. One's called Sun City Lincoln Hills, and the other one's Sun City Roseville. Mm-hmm. I'm a contractor. I work there sometimes. I drive through there coming back from, friends or shopping at night, and I see low-level spraying probably multiple times, daylight and evening. I'm talking like 800 to 1,000 feet up. They'll come down and do a zigzag, like a Z type thing. They'll come from the south or come from the northeast, go southwestbound, then go southbound, and then resume southwestbound again, like a little Z pattern. I've seen that 2 or 3 times. I also live like 9 miles away from a reservoir called Camp Far West, and I was working out near there.
Camp Far West?
Yes, called Camp Far West. It's a reservoir. It's right at the beginning of what river is that? It's the end of the Bear River that comes through Placer County. And on 4th of July weekend, there was lots of campers there, and I was working at a house near the perimeter of Beale Air Force Base, and I saw aircraft flying perimeters of the base, and I asked the homeowner, I go, what's going on with, do these guys fly all night long, or do they fly every night? And she goes, oh, yeah, they're doing security, or they're doing this or doing that, and they're up every night. Well, I watched them and did probably 30 or 40 orbits, and then near 10 o'clock, I saw it leave the pattern and go southbound, probably down toward Lincoln, where I live. And I thought maybe it was a training pilot that was doing a touch and go or something. And a half hour later, it came back. And right after it came back, I decided to go home. And I drove along the Camp Far West Reservoir. And as I looked up, I was looking at the campers and everybody, having bonfires and standing, near their motorhomes and, TVs on inside motorhomes and everything. You just see everybody having a good time. As I looked up, I saw another low-level chem spray right down the middle of the lake. And that was on 4th of July. And that plane had just returned from the Beale Air Force Base from doing those perimeter flights. So I think I'm suspicious really important that they're doing the spray.
When we have a show like this and somebody like you comes along, that we get this information in some sort of story so we can put this up on aircraft.org.
Right.
We can put it up in England.
That's why I'm calling.
Story, in fact, I would like to do an interview with you on film.
Yeah.
And we can make an arrangement for that.
Well, your prior caller, Charlie, is a friend of mine, and I notified him about your show tonight, so I'm glad he called in first.
Well, Charlie did a beautiful job, and you're opening this thing up. And this is what Roxy needs. She needs some people who are like yourself and Charlie, who will bring this thing to the point of reality. This is not imaginary.
Courage.
This is for real.
I respect everybody's courage and forthrightness, and I'm right there with you guys. I'm not afraid of anybody. I'll tell the truth, and I'm very, I'm not capable of understanding what's going on at all. I mean, I'm a pilot. I fly. I talk to other pilots. I've talked to airline pilots. I've been kicked out of hangars for bringing the subject up.
Now,
I've told
you're
these guys,
near
you're not big enough to throw me
Deal
out.
Air Force Base. Is that close to the Boeing facility?
I'm near Beale. No, it's not near Boeing. Boeing is in Salt Lake City. I'm in California.
You're in
okay.
I'm northeast of Sacramento.
Northeast of Sacramento.
Correct.
So you're
Beale
north
Air
of
Force Base is
Santa Rosa.
Beale Air Force Base is the National Reconnaissance Wing. We have Beale, McClellan, Mather, and Travis nearby. But Beale is the National Reconnaissance Wing. It's where they fly the U-2s. They used to have the SR-71s. They fly the Predators and the Global Hawks out of here, too.
Steve, I was going to mention so that we can get in touch with you after the show. If you can put something, send me something to info@thetruthDenied.com.
Sure.
And mention that you had come on the show, and then I can put you together with Anthony as well.
Sure.
And Anthony also, we can put you. Stephen, what do you want to say your last name on the air, or should we just wait for
No,
email?
don't say your last name on the air.
Right, but
let me give you
recognize my voice and
another
everything.
email address.
But you made my acquaintance recently, Roxy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I
have like 5,000 Steves.
Well, I'll send you a notice.
All right.
I know how to get a hold of you.
Steve, let me give you another email address. It's R Coons, R, the letter R, like in Robert,
Right.
R Coons, COONES 102, R Coons 102 at MSN.com.
Okay, I got it. I'll repeat it back. RC Coons at MSN.com. Oh, 102.
Right. And the other one is aircrap at gmail.com.
Okay.
Now, this is of great interest to me because Deborah Suvaris lives up in the Santa Rosa area, and as I was going over to a Board of Supervisors meeting to bring up some of this stuff, I was taking a look at 5 or 6 really heavy, thick death dumps coming over the city, going north and south and east and west. They've got heavy dumping up in that area.
Yeah.
Heavy dumping. And the fact that this information is available, if you make it available to us, we will spread it far and wide, and I'd like to have you on film and talk about it. We have whistleblowers. One gal in the Arizona area talked about HARP. She was a whistleblower. She worked on HARP. And the fact that the quake, the earthquake underneath the water, moving the tectonic plates, which created the tsunami, was created.
Yes.
This is man-made.
Right. Yeah,
And
I heard the Chica Maru made drilling operations out there, and they put a nuclear device under the ocean and blew it. Are you talking about the Japan?
Yes, the Fukushima.
Right.
So
yeah,
I would like
to
very much
privately,
to talk to you, Steve, after the air, and you in contact with Deborah Tavares. She's in.
Some of the people that you mentioned earlier, they talk about saving the planet, but they're also eugenists, and they believe in population reduction. I've heard them say it out of their own mouths. I mean, I have friends that have heard them say it.
So these are
for example, they had films recently in Davis about the salmon are having such a hard time going upstream because of dams, and we need to get rid of all these dams. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do about electricity? What are you going to do about water to feed to irrigate crops? And they're so well, there's too many people. And these are, were spoken by some of the people you mentioned earlier. So you have to kind of question, like some of them are getting a little brainwashed too. They need to get thinking about what they're saying.
I'm calling them gangrenies, like Gangore, like gore.
Mm-hmm.
Eenies, gangrenes, like gangrene.
Right.
It's the flesh-eating disease that will kill the body. It eats up the flesh. It's like a friggin' movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think nobody could make this stuff up.
Well, Gorbachev was
living. They had a place down near south of Phoenix, which we went over, the Evergreen facility down there, where they would retrofit some of these planes to make them into death dumpers.
Yeah. The Greenies, well, Gorbachev, when he was living at the Presidio, I think he was quoted by saying that the Communist Party was going to operate through the Green Party.
Well, that's pretty much what they do. And if you take it we have one film in which where we have the statements of Bernard Shaw. Mm-hmm. And he's saying, well, if you're not a producer here, if you're not one of us, we've got to reduce the population. It may be unfortunate, but it has to be done. We have to kill these people. They consider, I would think that initially they would simply take a look at blacks and browns and Orientals as useless eaters. No, It's not just them, it's everybody.
Anthony, if the Atomic and Oil Workers Union of America was not so strong and was able to shelve all the new inventions, our planet could have clean transportation. There are aircraft engines, there are jet turbine engines that work on implosion instead of explosion. There was a site that it's still up. It's called airturbineengine.com, and a machinist designed a jet engine that runs on implosion. And we also have magnetic motors that have been shelved. If we just cleaned up and got rid of the internal combustion engine, this planet can safely sustain 20 to 30 billion people. There's lots of room for people.
We are not dependent on fossil fuel. We're not using fossil fuel. We're using abiotic fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Fossil fuel was dissipated a long time ago.
Right.
And we have a film that's 3/4 made right now called $10 a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessary. We're surrounded. California is almost surrounded by fuel. It has an ocean.
Yeah.
We can use the ocean. We burn the hydrogen.
Right.
And it will fuel the country.
Right.
We don't need what people are telling us that
we're gonna keep you on the line, Stephen, and then we have another caller that's back. Do I have another caller on the line? I don't know where he went. He's not saying anything, but we have
Hello?
another caller that's just listening. Hello.
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 Oh, you
Hi.
hear me?
I can hear you. And is this now? We have Stephen. We have who is the new caller or the caller on hold?
Oh, I'm still here. This is Charlie.
That's Charlie. Okay, so we still have Charlie. We have Stephen, and of course we're all speaking with Anthony J Hilder. Anyone else that would like to call in, the show number is 347-327-9997. We're past the bottom of the hour. We have 20 minutes to go. So go ahead, Charlie. Are you having any other questions that you as well wanted to ask
I can
Anthony?
give you a comment there. If you've seen any of that red stuff, I'm just one person away from information that red stuff that comes down, they're nanobites or nano spiders, and those go into your ears and they mess up your brain with. But that's a rumor for me. And
are the nano spiders? Is that the Morgellons substance?
Come again?
You're talking about the nano spiders, the red substance. That's the fluffy stuff that looks like cotton candy?
Exactly.
You're talking about the chem webs.
Well, not only chem web, it looks kind of like blood. They've been talking about blood. Very fluid.
Who's been talking about blood?
Well, I'm going to get you more information if you want that.
Okay, I do know. I've done quite a few investigations, Charlie, and regarding chemwebs, and I think I know what you're talking about and what it is. We've also had chemwebs run in labs, and in short, we also have a documentary out on it. In short, what it is they are finding DNA, human DNA, in the chemwebs, and so we are unclear as to what that is. Michael Murphy's comment on that is that we are changing the whole ecosystem in the entire world. The whole plasma field was changed about 10 years ago. And now what you are seeing with these, as Anthony Hilder calls death dumps, or others call chemtrails, or I call geoengineering, what we are now seeing is the maintenance program of that. They are maintaining all of these toxins in the air and changing the upper atmosphere of the planet.
Well, this
so
is a
that may be what you're referring to.
They're more like a plasma, and
yes.
what they're telling me, it's nanospiders.
Nanospiders, yes.
Okay, they go into your brain, and they go into your cerebral and start messing with you on that way. But I'll get more information on that one.
Absolutely, and Anthony, both Anthony and I would love to speak with you, Charlie.
Give you the chemtrails are used in these in what you would say social engineering. Okay, they bounce it off of this kind of like the harp, but they use it to visualize. Okay, so they can see all. Kind of like bouncing it off like a mirror off the chemtrails, and then they can see a whole city and see how the socialism, or not the socialism, but the social structure is running. So they can actually see you through the chemtrails. That's one of the projects that I know of, and that one's pretty much a done deal. That's been given to me. And the next one is Bluebeam, Project Bluebeam, to project any holograms off of that. And
well,
that
the guys up in the Tickaboo, I was going through the Tickaboo Valley up to Rachel, Nevada, and I was taking a look at Bald Mountain up there. This is on the area 51 facility. They were projecting across the Tickaboo Valley to an old couple who was just going down in their car down to the Tickaboo Valley, and they looked up and they saw an image of these guys were having fun. They were projecting an image of the Roadrunner. Remember the cartoon?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
They were putting an image of the Roadrunner, hitchhiking down the highway, and the people freaked out. They jammed their feet on the brake, and they went right through this thing. Of course, it's just an image.
Yeah, I know. They need that kind of like a mist. They need the three-dimensional mist.
But they can create this, and you think, well, that's insane. Why would they do that? Because it's late at night and they were just bored.
Well, part of it is alien invasion and such that they're trying to bring in. They know we always need a boogeyman or so to be against.
Scare us. Well, Henry Kissinger
exactly.
said that it would be impossible to take over L.A., but if they could create the illusion of an invasion from space, they could get the people to surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And they've all of this stuff. There's all sorts of like the aurora.
Hey, Charlie, you're breathing in the phone too much.
The aurora does, in fact, exist. I'm sure, Stephen, you know about that.
Yeah.
People would look up in the sky to hear this sound, this roar going overhead. They'd be looking up for the jet, and hell, it had gone. It was probably 800 miles.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Down through the airspace.
It's a transatmospheric vehicle. It runs on a rocket engine that runs rich, that has afterburners on it. It has like 3 forms of propulsion on it. It's a 75-degree sweep triangle. The leading edge sweeps back 75 degrees. The center rudder is like your nose. It's just like a wedge, like a tetrahedron, and it holds about 700 gallons of fuel. and that's fueled up to give it its aft CG for climb out. They burn that first, and then it cruises on out. I think they go to the moon. They probably mine the moon, and it lands in probably 3 or 4 different areas around the world.
Well, we were up on what they called Whitesides, overlooking the facility, and they've since stopped that. They've outlawed that particular spot. There was a place called Freedom Ridge. But I've done several films. I've been up there with Ted Gunderson. In fact, one of the fellows from Area 51, one of the fellows that worked on the facility, tried to run us over. Literally. We've got a picture of it. It was up on the local television, and we actually were able to stop him, but he got off with a $100 fine. If we had done like that to anybody in the military, we'd be in jail for 100 years.
Mm-hmm. Did John Lear mention about the Aurora going to the moon and picking up titanium?
No, he did not. And John Lear is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He did talk about a lot of things, which I won't get into. I didn't want to use this show because we're on target here. With the death dumps, we're on target with the vaccinations, and we've got a woman here that is a real find. It's just wonderful, Roxy, to have you on, and we'll get you in touch with Deborah Tavares, and we'll get these posters and the material and of course the films. And the 3 films that I think are most important here is Frankenfed on the Federal Reserve, Air Auschwitz. In fact, we've got a picture of Auschwitz. This is, I think, 4 months ago. I think about 4 months ago. Yeah, 4 or 5 months ago. And there's death dumps over Auschwitz. I mean, the old German prison camp, right above the gate.
Wow. I've got another story to relate that I'm just recalling that probably 5-6 years ago that I would like to share with you.
Please do.
I was flying with a friend in a Stearman biplane out of Cameron Park, and we were scouting around the Consumnes River, which is just south of Highway 50, and he was looking for places he could take his RV to go, fishing or just take a vacation, get away from things, get out in the country. He had just recently bought an RV and wanted to go find a place to take it. So we're flying around, and on our way back toward Cameron Park, we saw a low-level 737 flying adjacent to Highway 50 from Rancho Cordova up through El Dorado Hills near Cameron Park where we were going, and we were kind of converging on it. It was low level. It was probably 5,000-6,000 feet, and we were about 3,000 feet, and it was spraying. And that week following, there was an outbreak of meningitis in the Folsom School District, and they had to cancel the basketball program. And in fact, someone I know, his brother's daughter died from it.
37 is a large craft.
Yes.
That is something else.
That's like what I'm saying about low-level dumps.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
on
a Sunday afternoon.
The drones that are going around, there's no pilots in them. You can see them do some really, some freaky maneuvers on them. And those are quick ones here that I've seen. They'll probably go through this, during the sunset and just do some circles real quick, and they'll land. And
how far is Lincoln from Santa Rosa?
Oh, it's almost 150 miles. Santa Rosa's due west of Santa Rosa. I mean, Santa Rosa's due west of Lincoln.
So you're almost towards Nevada.
No, I'm on the Sierra foothills I'm right below Auburn.
One more thing to consider, I don't know if you guys thought about this, of how much oxygen is in the air now. It's really dangerously low. and you can probably get that data off of somewhere.
Yes, absolutely. That is another concern, and that's, I believe, that's going to be Environmental Voices tabloid. Deborah Whitman, she's covering that with the dying trees throughout the world, and one of the relationships to that is the lack of oxygen, and we did discuss that as well. So that's a really good point that you brought up, caller Charlie. And Anthony, are you going to be now again? The latest film is called Illuminati, and then
it's called Illuminati, yes. But this is basically about the conspiratorial group that is in control of this. These are Malthusians.
Yes, and that's what you said. And then we have
individuals who have actually a Luciferian agenda. And you think, oh, that's crazy. This is Halloween. No, it's real, and they intend to reduce the people of the people of the planet down to a controllable number. So they're going to have to, if they're successful, they're going to have to kill at least 5 billion.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5,000 million.
Mm-hmm. And then, for any of the listening audience, if you want to see some of Anthony's studies with that, check out his DVD Millennium 2000, because that's an expose on America's Illuminati and the Masonic religion and the Luciferian document. So if you want to look into some of that. And another really good one that you've got out, too, is the Monster Among Us. So if you want to get into that Frankenfed stuff. But Illuminati, it sounds like you're covering, it's kind of like all your work encompassed into one, like really just heading right into who is in control of all the rest of it. And then as far as Air Auschwitz goes, you traveled as well, and I do appreciate it. I was in the documentary. I've yet to see the documentary, though, but I was in the documentary as well. Was it Michael Murphy in the documentary as well?
Yes.
Air Auschwitz? Yeah.
Michael Murphy is in it, and it's fortunate that we have Charlie and Steve. And Steve, I would like to have you on film.
Mm-hmm. One more I want to give you.
I would like you on and you could call Roxy, and do you have her number?
I'll take care of all of that for you, Anthony.
Okay.
Charlie has another question.
I want you on film. Period.
Can you review the facts about the suspected phosgene gas releases, the fish kills, the bird kills, and the guy that ended up dead in the dumps in Delaware?
That's part of our agenda, and I went down here to. You can take a look at this, and it's on aircraft.org. You can go to Death Harbor. We're talking about at the end of Santa Monica Bay.
I saw that, the fish kill one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was talking to one fellow out there, and I'm talking about the millions of fish that were dead. He says billions. It wasn't billions, but it was millions. Right. And he says, "What do you think? This is killed from toxicity. Where's it coming from?" I said, "Did you bother to look up? Just look up. Stop your net putting these things into the scoops, and just look up. What do you think that is up there?" Right? It's the nanoparticulates, the poisons. It's the toxic toilet. They don't get it. Even when they're there in front of 6-7 million fish that are dead, they don't get it.
They don't connect the dots.
They don't connect the dots. And that's why it's necessary for you to come on talking about the 737 coming 3,000 feet over the mountains. If the mountains were 3,000, it's coming out at 5,000 or 6,000. That's only 2,000-3,000 feet above. So you could get a hell of a great view of that if you had pictures of that. We'd certainly run it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they are coming
that's
from...
exactly what we need is photo evidence. And, Anthony, we're winding down the show. We have about less than 10 minutes to go. So what I want to do, I want to thank the callers. We will get in touch with Charlie and Steve for you, Anthony, and we will put them in touch with you. And, again, for those of you who have been listening or just tuned in, our guest is Anthony J. Hilder. We also have his new DVD, Illuminati, and this is covering a very large gamut of information as far as Bohemian Grove, Bilderberg West, New World Order, the chemtrail issue, who's controlling, who's, and basically the agenda being to extinguish a good amount of the population of the world. And so Anthony's number that you can reach if you donate a small portion of your income every month. No, I'm kidding. He's looking for donations, and this is Free World Alliance. That is Anthony's website. The phone number is 928-237-5351. Speak with Ron and work it out on getting Illuminati, Air Auschwitz, which covers chemtrails, a number of other films that you can take a look at. You can go to commoncrime.net. Anthony was speaking earlier in the program about a glass pyramid out at the Rothschilds. And they're going to have that up within 48 hours, and that's going to be on commoncrime.net and freeworldalliance.com. And there's also ourengland.com. And let's not forget my favorite and those who I've been working with, which is aircraft.org. And, of course, aircraft.org will probably air this show when I send it over to Anthony. They usually do a lot of my documentaries as well. Anthony, is there anything you want to add to the mix in the next 5 minutes? Anything else that you want to cover?
I want to say that this is what this show really is. It's a blessing. I know that we're speaking at a rather high level. Some people won't understand what we've been talking about. They'll think, well, this is a program from another world. But we are dealing with people who are literally coming from another world, another mindset, another planet within the planet, whose their intention is to kill us, to control us, to take everything we've got, or ever had, or ever hope to have away. Killing children, it's nothing. And they figure that the people are so damn dumb that they're going to accept the unacceptable and tolerate the intolerable. They're going to do unthinkable things because the government tells you that's what must be done. They're going to be convinced when they have individuals like Steve see him on film. He's got some guts. Just talking about this and putting it on film. Once it goes on film, we reach 1 million. A film can reach 1 million before a book can be read by one.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. And validating what we know to be true with somebody who's a pilot. And I talked to pilots. In fact, we have one on our film Air Auschwitz. He said, yeah, this is happening. We have doctors who say, yeah, this is happening. Yeah, this is the way they do it. Dr. Lucides does a hell of a job. Dr. Spencer does a job on the smart murder meter, a piece that we're doing, and he's on Frankenfed. Well, he's not on Frankenfed, but he's on Illuminati. We have the information. It's a matter of simply putting it in a form where it's palatable to the public at large. Collectively, working together, even with a small group of people, we will, and we do, change the complexion of human thinking. And there is a way of making all of this visible. Even though we don't have pictures, we can make it visible to those even who have no eyes. radio is a wonderful thing because you can envision what Steve and Charlie has said. You can envision it. If you get the message, if you start to understand where this is leading, you will be horrified because it is a nightmare amongst us. And it is being done deliberately and by design. We talked to one girl who had gone public. She was talking to some guys, pilots from Evergreen. They're in a bar and drinking. They're bragging at how much money they made, and had no concern about the people that they were killing. Did you find that out to be, or do you find that out to be true, Steve? That they don't give
our callers are no longer here, Anthony.
Oh.
So, we're winding down the show. So yeah, we will definitely put them in touch with you, though. Not a problem, and I'll definitely look forward to speaking with you about the television show. I can't wait to see the new Illuminati, so I definitely want to see that, and I'll definitely do a video on it. I'll cover that, Anthony.
Well, we want you on film again. You made a hell of an appearance before, and you're going to do it again.
I certainly will. I love working with you. It was fantastic. You know, I meet a lot of people, and I have to say that when Anthony and his crew came out to Arizona, it was really very organized, very wonderful day. And then, of course, we ended it the evening with a meal and some discussions and getting to know one another. And I will have to say that I was really surprised by the your authenticity, Anthony. You really do truly believe in what you are opening up, all these cans of worms. You're also a very tenacious individual, and it's my pleasure to know you. So I appreciate all of the work that you do. You're giving me props all over the place. But Anthony, how long have you been doing this type of work, Anthony?
I produced and released the Illuminati in 1967 and released it with Myron Fagan. So that's 44 years, I believe.
And you're still going strong, and you're unstoppable. So, yeah, that's a long time to be laid into your convictions. So, again, Free World Alliance, call the number 928-237-5351. Please pass that around to your friends as well. If you enjoyed what Anthony was talking about and you want to donate a little money and order the Illuminati or Frankenfit or Air Auschwitz or Beast of the Bible Belt, there are a number of films that Anthony has done. Go to Free World Alliance and you can see the list of them. Again, check in with aircraft.org for all your chemtrail and information regarding Anthony. Anthony, I'm going to let you go. We've got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to wrap it up. I want to give you big hugs. Say hi to the gang for me, and I definitely look forward to our next encounter, and I can't wait to see the show, and I'm real excited.
You know, I've gone a long period of through this thing called life and never had a sister before. Anthony, thank you, sister.
Oh, you are welcome. You are absolutely welcome. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule today to join us on the show. We'll do a film of it, and we'll put it on our YouTube channel, and we'll send it over to aircraft.org, and they'll put it up as well.
Vaya con Dios.
All right. Vaya con Dios. Have a wonderful day. And so there you have it. That was Anthony J. Hilder. Boy, you know, in 2 hours, he really covered a lot. We didn't even get into the Skull and Bones, the Catholic Connection. That's another one of his DVDs. I have quite a few of them, by the way, and they are really interesting. Listen, we have to thank the GIC Radio Network for honoring the Truth Denied Talk Radio show, offering it to us, giving it to us, really. So we have to say, again, thank you to the GIC. And the GIC will be having a show on Monday, the Dr. Bernard Alvarez Show. We'll be doing a very special consciousness talk called 2012 and the Occupy Movement. And that's going to be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We are so privileged to be a part of this wonderful world called The Truth. I am Roxy Lopez for the Truth Denied Talk Radio, where the truth never lies. Thanks for joining us. Have a safe weekend. And please order from Free World Alliance. The number is 928-237-5351. Our guest was Anthony J. Hilder.
It had to be done, and I expected it to happen. I just didn't expect it to take so long.
Really? Now, just out of curiosity, while we're on the topic, gee, Anthony, you don't fool around. You just jump right in, huh? While we're on the topic, who's next?
Well, every single Arab nation, every single oil nation, every single opposition anywhere on the planet Earth that would oppose the evilarchy. And we've got a new film called Illuminati, and that's really what it is. It's the Illuminati operating as Hitler did. It's like in Israel, it's the Zion-Nazis, and we've got this god-awful thing called NATO. NATO's the new Nazism. And they simply take on a country. Gaddafi didn't wage war against America. There's no trial.
And that seems
no
coming
evidence.
up over and over again that that he wasn't tried, that he was just murdered.
He's just executed.
Mm-hmm.
And drones. I mean, the flyovers were done by Americans with American dollars. And Obama was promising to bring peace. Hell, Obama is the bankster's boy. He's not just down on his knees shining their shoes. He's their boy. And we have the Republican lineup. They're all the neocons, neo-Nazis, all of them, with the exception of Michelle Bachmann and Ron Paul. They're all giving allegiance to the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and this global cartel. There is no question about it. None whatsoever. It has to be stopped because these are what they call rhinos, Republicans in name only.
Right.
Cain, Herman Cain, is from the thing called the privately owned Federal Reserve, and he's supposed to come up with a new agenda. 999. You just turn the 996. We're taking the legitimate left and legitimate right from the Tea Party movement and from the people who are libertarians, some of the greenies. They're all coming together on the same issue, and that's what's necessary for us to win.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be that way.
And what would you say the issue is? I'm viewing the issue as ending the Fed. That seems to be primary.
Basically, yes. The issue is money, and of course, the end game is being conducted by those who control the Fed.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say, it's not owned by us; it's owned by them, and they are the 1%. In fact, they're not even 1%. They're like 1/1000th of 1%.
Mm-hmm.
Just a handful of banksters. These are the Count Draculas, these blood-sucking banking bastards who are taking everything that we've got and giving us debt. We don't have money. We have debt issued into circulation at point of origin.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't get that, if people don't get that, then we're lost. We've got another film called Frankenfed, which we did out there at the Federal at the Bohemian Grove, and we did it on Alcatraz, and we did it around the country. Some of it was done in London, And the London operation, the city within the city in London, is the eye of the octopus. I guess if we could knock out the Rothschilds, who own the Bank of England, or who owned the Bank of England, I mean, they own the system, they control the system, then we would be well on our way to recovery. And I've been out there on the estate of the Rothschilds. They have a glass pyramid. And you think, well, what in the world, way out in the boonies, in the English countryside, in a little forest, is that glass pyramid doing out there near the Rothschild Estate? And, of course, the people wonder sometimes, but they rarely ever look, and they wonder what the hell that glass pyramid is doing out there.
How big is it?
I would say it's about 65 feet poisons on us here than there was ever dropped on anybody at Auschwitz. Hell, you could survive Auschwitz. You won't be able to survive what they're dropping on the country. They have done what Hitler only promised to do. They've out-Hitlered Hitler. The Illuminati, the title of our current film, discusses where they come from and what they do. These individuals are, coming out of the woodwork. They've been around for a long, long period of time. They've been over at the Bohemian Grove conducting sacrifices of children before the Owl of Moloch. You say, "Oh God, no, they wouldn't do that." We had a group from Russia TV. Russia TV. They were out there, and they said, "Well, they're only doing this is only a ritual thing."
At Bohemian Grove?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They said it was only a ritual thing. No, it wasn't just a ritual thing.
Now, you've covered Bohemian Grove before Illuminati. I've seen a few of your films, and thank you for sending them to me. You've covered it before, so this is a newer version, obviously, with a lot more information.
Oh, this is a brand new version.
Yeah, Illuminati.
I don't think it contains a lot more information. It's just more direct and pinpointed. We
Gotcha.
have Ted Gunderson. Ted did a piece on this. Ted is no longer with us. He's gone to a better place. And he was former head of the FBI in Los Angeles and Dallas and Memphis. We have to address these issues. We have to tell it like it is, or tell everybody where it's coming from. Okay.
Well, absolutely. Now, Anthony, let's go back to some of your work and tie it into what's happening today, especially the movement with Occupy and everything that's going on in the global revolution. Really,
the one thing about this the Occupy Washington, Occupy America. The one beautiful thing about this is that 9 upside down, and you'll have the figure of what it is. It's 666.
Right.
999 is 666.
That's an interesting proposal. I don't know why it's not raising any eyebrows yet in the mainstream, but that's an interesting tax proposal called 999. What's going on with that?
Well, it's if you go to our new film, Illuminati 911, or just Illuminati, and take a look at it, we're talking about Bilderberg West. We're talking about this whole criminal cartel. When I talk about a criminal cashless cartel, I mean just that, a criminal cashless cartel. It owns the Federal Reserve. It's a privately owned banking system. It creates debt. It issues debt into circulation, not money. For every piece of paper that they print something on, they issue it into circulation. We borrow it from them. That's where the interest, all of this interest is, my God, we owe $13 trillion in interest. Well, they say we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the Fed. No, we don't owe it to ourselves. We owe it to them. They simply printed it and issued it.
A lot of Americans don't realize that the Federal Reserve has nothing to do with the government. The Federal Reserve is a privately owned corporation that runs on its own, and just what you said, lending money at high interest rates to the government, and of course it comes out of your and my pocket. Who are some of the people that own the Federal Reserve?
Well, let's start with David Rockefeller. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about the Class A stockholders have never been revealed to the United States publicly. Eustace Mullins, in his book about the Fed, writes about it. And, of course, a fellow named Ed Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Griffin writes about it in his book, The Creature of Jekyll Island.
Mm-hmm. That's a great book.
A phenomenal book. And a phenomenal character. He's on our film, and you are on the same film, and it's a fabulous film. It's called, what is it called now? Let's talk about it. Air Auschwitz. You say, well, what has Air Auschwitz got to do with the United States of America? Oh, they're dumping more
GIC Radio presents The Truth Denied, Talk Radio, with your host, Roxy Lopez, where truth never lies. If you would like to speak with Roxy on the air, the call-in number is 347-327-9997. Here she is, your host, Roxy Lopez.
It is Friday, the 21st, and my guest today is Anthony J. Hilder.
And the truth shall not be denied.
And the truth shall not be denied. Anthony, welcome to the show.
I'm loving being on with the foxy Miss Roxy, who is doing more than almost any woman in America to tell the truth and kill the lies. The one thing I'm so upset about today is that the establishment killed or arranged to be killed Gaddafi, because if he went to trial, he spilled the beans, the whole row of dominoes would go down into the pits of hell.
Explain.
Well, he knew where the bodies were buried, and all of the arrangements for the oil, and they were kissing his behind and counting on him to be their man in the Mideast. But in this Arab Spring, they've arranged to kill off all opposition to a New World Order. And Gaddafi, certainly, if he had been allowed to go to trial in some sort of international court, he would have brought all of these people together. So they had to kill him. It was necessary. The Zion Nazis, killed him. And that's what happened.